Today, we're diving into the incredible journey of William Butler Yeats. Now, this is a poet who starts out writing about myths and fairies and all this dreamy stuff and ends up capturing the absolute chaos of a world at war. So, how does a dreamer become such a powerful realist? Well, let's get into it.
I'm willing to bet you've heard this line before. He wrote it over a century ago, right after World War I, but it feels like it could have been written this morning, doesn't it? It's just so chillingly relevant. And it's the perfect way to step into the world of Yeats, a man who had this uncanny ability to put his finger on the anxieties of his time, which, as it turns out, are still very much our anxieties today.
So who exactly was W.B. Yeats? Okay, yes, he was an Irish poet and a playwright, but that's kind of like saying a master architect just plays with bricks. Now, think of him more as a cultural visionary. He was a central figure in the Irish literary revival, and their mission was massive, to build a modern Irish identity not out of steel and stone, but out of ancient myths, forgotten heroes, and the magic of the land itself. And you know what? The world was paying attention. In 1923, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. And this wasn't just a simple pat on the back. It was this huge global acknowledgement that the stories and the struggles of this one small island, when channeled through the powerful verse of Yeats, had meaning for absolutely everyone.
To really understand the man he became, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to look at his early career, which was just steeped in all things romantic and mystical. This was the young Yeats, totally captivated by legends, by fairy tales, and by the sheer, raw beauty of the Irish landscape. And this line right here from the Lake Isle of Innisfree, this is the early Yeats in a nutshell. It's pure longing, right? It's this deep desire to just escape the noise and the grind of modern life and find some quiet out in nature. You can almost hear the gentle rhythm in the words. This dreamy, lyrical style was his signature at the time.
And here's the thing. Yeats wasn't just a writer. He was a nation builder. As a leader of the Celtic revival, he understood that culture is a profoundly political thing. For a nation living under British rule, bringing back your own stories wasn't just nostalgia. It was a powerful act of resistance. It was a way of standing up and saying, we have our own history, our own heroes, our own soul.
So his early collections, like The Wanderings of Oisin, were just soaked in these ideas. We're talking epic heroes, enchanted forests, and this deep, almost spiritual connection to the land. He was quite literally building a national mythology, one poem at a time.
But, that kind of dream can't last forever. The real world, with all of its noise and its violence, was about to come crashing through the door. And it would force Yeats to change not just his poetry, but his entire way of seeing the world. Just think about the timing. The early 20th century was an incredibly turbulent period for Ireland. The push for independence was getting stronger and stronger, and then World War I just changes the entire political map. Then, in 1916, everything explodes with the Easter Rising in Dublin, an armed insurrection against British rule.
This line from his poem Easter, 1916, is his gut reaction, and it is absolutely electric. A terrible beauty is born. Think about those two words together. He saw the horror, the bloodshed, the tragedy, but he also saw a kind of selfless, history-changing courage. It's this profound conflict, this terrible beauty, that would fuel his work from that moment on.
And you can just see this shift so clearly. It's like night and day. The dreamy poet who wanted to escape to Innisfree, he's gone. In his place is a hardened modernist, grappling with the brutal realities of politics, war, and national identity. His poetry became way more direct, more complex, and it just refused to look away from the world.
And this is really why Yeats still matters so much. His whole life's work shows us that art isn't just a pretty distraction. It's a vital tool. It's how we process history, how we understand our own complicated feelings, and how we find some shred of meaning when the world feels like it's coming apart at the seams.
Now, in the final phase of his life, Yeats turns his gaze inward and upward. He starts to wrestle with the biggest, most profound questions of all: aging, death, and the human search for some kind of immortality.
A huge work from this period is his collection called The Tower. And in it, he's confronting his own mortality head-on. He's looking back on his life, thinking about the decay of the body and this constant struggle between our physical selves and our spiritual selves.
Really, this one question is at the very heart of all his later work. If our physical bodies are destined to fail us, what part of us can last? What actually endures? For Yeats, the answer he kept coming back to was art.
This is where we get absolute masterpieces, like Sailing to Byzantium, where he imagines his soul leaving his aging body and becoming a timeless piece of art, a golden bird that sings forever. And then you have The Second Coming, which came out of his own strange, personal mystical system. He started to see history not as a straight line, but as a series of violent spinning cycles, where civilizations rise and then inevitably fall. He was tackling the biggest questions you can possibly ask.
So, when all is said and done, what is the lasting legacy of W.B. Yeats? How does his voice still manage to echo through all this time?
His artistic journey it's incredible. He starts off as a romantic dreamer, literally creating a national identity out of folklore. Then, he's forged in the fires of political chaos, and he becomes this stark, clear-eyed modernist who gave voice to the entire Irish experience for the rest of the world to hear.
Yeats really taught us that an artist can be the conscience of a nation. He held a mirror up to his own time, reflecting both its dreams and its nightmares. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? In our own turbulent world, who are the poets, the musicians, the filmmakers holding that mirror up for us? What and who is the voice of our time?